Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. And we're here today with special guest, Boaz Lahovitsky, Head of J.P. Morgan's Personal Advisors, who's here to share with us why it's never too late to set goals, how a plan can help you stay on track, and why investing should be an important part of your plan. So Boaz Lahovitsky is head of J.P. Morgan Personal Advisors and J.P. Morgan's Wealth Management Remote Advice Channel. He has over 15 years of experience in wealth and asset management with a broad track record across the financial advice industry. Boaz joined J.P. Morgan Wealth Management from Vanguard, where he led the firm's remote advice business to the high net worth segment, overseeing a workforce of over 300 senior financial advisors with $100 billion in managed assets. Prior to Vanguard, he held executive roles in strategy, transformation, operations, and managed account platforms in the financial advice space. Boaz holds an MBA from Columbia Business School and a law degree from the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. So welcome to the show, Boaz Lahovitsky.
Good morning, Marianne. How are you?
I am doing well. I've been looking forward to this discussion. My goodness, it seems like so many people make resolutions at the beginning of the year to eat healthier and exercise more often. But when it comes to making their finance goals, should they do that too?
That's a great question. Financial health is such an important part of our overall well-being. If you're going to have discipline with your exercise regime, why not have discipline with your financials, right? Because, we know this, Marianne. You need to buy a car in 3 years or buy that house. You're not sure you have enough money for retirement. That creates stress that affects our mental health. And there's a way to deal with that. You can create a financial plan which sets the right steps, the right investment vehicles for the right time frames to really help you meet those goals. And we know that people who do that from research typically have a much higher chances of success in the long term.
So how can people start turning these goals into actionable plans? Is this something that they can create on their own?
Yeah, you can absolutely do it on your own. And in J.P. Morgan, we have options for that. You can open a self-directed account, and you can get access to tools. One of them is a proprietary tool we call Wealth Plan, and you can start your own financial plan, set your own goals, short-term, long-term, and get going. But for many of us, just doing it on your own is probably not the best idea. A good chunk of us could use professional help. It's no different than doctors using other doctors to help themselves and lawyers not representing themselves. Personal finances is no different. If you can get a professional to help you, they can create something with you that's customized for you based on your circumstances and your risk priorities. And then, equally important, they serve you as a co-pilot. So they keep you on track. They make sure you're accountable. That's so important, whether it's exercise or finances. And they can make sure you don't make mistakes. We're big believers in that. We make it very easy to get in touch with financial advisors in our firm.
Well, that's so good to hear. And I know, let's say we're working with a financial advisor and we've got a great plan in place. But, life happens. And so when we have a life change that comes up, how can we incorporate these changes into our plan?
Well, boy, does life happen, right, Marianne? And you don't need a lot more than 2025 to feel that. The only certainty in life is that life is uncertain. A few things can happen to your plan. Markets can go up or down quicker than you expect. You may have had a certain way you thought your next few years are going to go, but then you can get married earlier. You decide to have another kid. It's very important for a plan to be a living plan, and you can adjust it over time. And work with your advisors to do that if you have one. But you don't have to wait, Marianne, for life to happen. It's really important to prepare in advance. And you can run those what-if scenarios in advance. We have tools for that, scenario analysis, when you can model different market conditions or one of those life events happening to you. And if you do that, then you're much, much better prepared when those things come along.
So let's talk about investing, because I think a lot of people have some questions around this. Do we need a lot of money to start investing?
Yeah, that's one of the big fallacies. You can start with as little as a few $1,000s. The most important part with investing is to start early. Even if you're in your 20s, a small amount of money can become a big pot later on. The earlier you start, the more time you have for money to be working for you, and that's because money compounds, right? You get a small pot, it gets some gains, that pot is bigger, now that starts growing on an exponential fashion. So you got that going for you. But we also recommend to have the discipline to do what we call recurring contributions. Every few months, once a year, take an amount, same amount, and make sure that pours in. That really increases your chances of success. And, Marianne, we're still in the early parts of the year. You got a bigger bonus than you expect. You got some tax refund. Go enjoy, do the trip for Europe that you always plan for. But also think about siphoning an element of that into your plan. That is a good discipline and muscle to have.
It seems that when we get that, like, quote, extra money, people are wanting to use it right away. So being able to start a plan, I mean, how empowering is that?
That is very true. There's something that's called, the short-term gratification always feels better than long-term. It's hard to create the discipline of thinking of long-term benefits when you can do something now. So number one, know that about you. That's kind of behavioral finance stuff. And if you have a financial advisor, they typically can help you deal with that.
So, what should we look for in a financial advisor? Because we want to make sure we get someone that really is a good fit for us.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, financial advisors also work for institutions. So what we like to say is, well, make sure you have trust in your financial institution and make sure you have trust in your advisor. And, really, number one, you need to feel comfortable. A good financial advisor makes you feel comfortable, customizes things for you. They listen more than they talk. And that's as important as their acumen. In fact, most folks find that acumen and experience is not as important as making the good connection with the advisor that they can trust. And that's one of the things we work very hard with our advisors.
Now, do you have 3 tips for mapping out our financial future?
Yeah, as I said, number one, start early. Start thinking about building a plan. It's not one pot of money. Sending the kid to school in a few years out is not the same investment profile as thinking about retirement, right? So don't think about money as one pot. Start investing early because that compounds, as we spoke. People sometimes like the recent fad or stock. You can do individual stocks, but it's much better to do a diversified portfolio. You can get smaller returns, sometimes even the same amount of returns for lower risk. And working with a professional can really help you with all of that.
That makes such a big difference. Because, like you were saying before, doctors don't do their own surgery. We need help with that.
That is true. I have a financial advisor, although I'm in the business.
Well, that's good to know. What do you think are some of the hiccups people experience when they start their financial future planning?
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of traps in this. It's just how the human mind works. You invest, markets go down. How often does that happen, right? And the initial reaction, well, it went down, is it going to go down more? Is it time to get out? Even if you look at periods at the early parts of COVID, which is not too long ago, right, in the rearview mirror, markets went down quite a bit. But if you went out of market, you didn't know when to get back, you missed out. And if you zoom in 1 year, you were actually better. And if you zoom in 10 years, you can see that these small hiccups are actually small kind of seismic changes in an overall trend upwards. But that's kind of human nature. We tend to check the news daily. We tend to check our investments daily. It's important to think that it's a marathon, not a sprint, and investing for the long term really works.
So how do we connect with a personal advisor from our own home?
That's great. So, for us at J.P. Morgan, we work with advisors remotely or in a branch. But if you want to work remotely from the comfort of your home, you can speak with our advisors through Zoom. You'll get really great service, and it can help you with financial planning. And there's also a ton of information you can find on our mobile or web app. And it's very easy to get in touch. We make it with the click of a button. You can schedule a meeting in the next few days if you want.
Well, my goodness, you're such a resource. We so appreciate you spending the time with us today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, Boaz. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about J.P. Morgan's personal advisors. To learn more and start planning your financial future, visit jpmorganwealthmanagement.com. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.